Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham, meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of His only begotten Son, who is the Savior of the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect within the nation of Israel. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as you Israelite foreigners scattered abroad that may look like the nations where you've been scattered to, but are Israelites. And I also want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and the truth. All right, there's the brother you call from the GMS branch out in Desmoines, Iowa, coming back at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit. Harakak. All right, and Lord's will. What I want to get into in this lesson, all right, is the importance of the inheritance that we're receiving. Okay, as far as the promise act was given to Abraham, fell down upon Isaac, and then rested upon Jacob, as it is written, for us to inherit the land. All right, and how the Lord is going to do greater for us in this time period than He did for us when He brought us into the promised land after we got out of Egypt. And in this society, it's so westernized, and sometimes it could be hard for us to picture the importance of the land that we're receiving. All right, see, us getting this land isn't just you got a place to stay. Okay, now you got a place where you can have your house, which that's beautiful. All right, you're not having to pay bills or renting and everything like that. But what comes with the land is also area for your cattle. All right, and if you have a large amount of land, all right, then you could have more cattle, okay, which would bring in a lot of substance. All right, cattle wasn't just used to be eaten. No, all right, you would have used use it for clothing. All right, you would use goat's hair for particular things. You would use the sheep, all right, the sheep hair for particular things, and so on and so forth. There's so many different things that cattle was used for. All right, and when we get in our land, all right, it's going to be fertile, okay, for the cattle, for it to feed upon, so that they flourish, right? And just the fact that you could have vineyards and so on and so forth. So there's so many aspects that's going to come with us having this fertile land, all right, that the Lord is going to grant us. All right, but without further ado, let's jump into it. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 12 and verse 4. It says, So Abram departed as the Lord Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot with him. And Abram was 75 old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And in the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh. It says, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him. All right, so the Lord had promised unto Abram, all right, whose name was later changed to Abraham, that he would give unto him that land, all right, where those Canaanites were dwelling, which is what we know today as the land of Israel. All right, before we got into that land, it was known as the land of Canaan. Why? Because the Canaanites were there. Now, when you look on this map here, okay, this is what we ended up receiving. Okay, this is where those Canaanites were. Now, when Joshua, all right, led us out of the wilderness into the promised land, okay, the Lord told us to drive out those Canaanites, which, all right, we left remnants of them. Jake was going off, all right, and we ultimately never received the fullness of what was promised unto Abraham. But this is just a quick, outline of what we received. So the inheritance was split up, and this was still a luscious, all right, and beautiful land. Okay, that's why they call it the fertile crescent. All right, scholars will call this land the fertile crescent. Okay, because it was abundant at one point. See, at this time period, all right, it's desolate, as it says in the book of Isaiah. All right, it's not it's fertile as it once was. Okay, and as it's going to be. All right, this is I believe it's Isaiah, the first chapter. This is Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. And to this day our land is desolate, man. All right, it's not as luscious as it once was, man. And that's according to what the Lord had said. All right, because you've got Cain, all right, who's in rulership. Okay, the same spirit that was in Cain is in Esau, Edom. And the Lord had said that the earth wouldn't yield forth its fruit underneath Cain, roughly paraphrasing that in the book of Genesis, man. All right, so that's why, okay, they import particular things into that land to make it more fruitful and so on and so forth. But in our land, all right, the Lord is gonna completely bless it. All right, fields of grass everywhere. All right, there's gonna not be one area within our land that's gonna be desolate. All right, everything is gonna be flourishing once we get into that land. All right, but it says that was it on that in Genesis. All right, so we saw that map of that land and what we received. Now this is the book of Genesis chapter 15 and verse I'm gonna start at verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. Right, that's us being in Egypt. It says, and they shall afflict them 400 years, and that's what happened. All right, we were in Egypt 430 years, because the first 30 years, all right, we got favor from the Pharaoh because of Joseph. All right, but after when there was risen up a new Pharaoh, all right, we began to be afflicted. Okay, and we were there 400 years. All right, so this isn't applying it to America as what some people were teaching at one point. All right, obviously, because that 400-year time period is was up according to them. It would have been up in 2019. All right, but this is to let you know that this is a prophecy that was fulfilled with us being in ancient Egypt. All right, and being delivered out of it. Verse 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And that's what happened to the Egyptians. The Lord sent them plagues upon Egypt. And afterward they shall come out with great substance, and we spoiled the Egyptians. All right, we got gold and silver from them, and so on and so forth, as it is written. Verse 15, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, meaning in that land of Canaan. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Right, so the Amorites that were in our land, okay, they had to fulfill a certain amount of wickedness until the Lord was going to drive them out. All right, but it says verse 17, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. It says, in the same day the Lord Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Right, now when we go back to this map, okay, where's the one we were looking at? All right, just see, you can see this is Egypt over here, and we'll grab a bigger map, but the river of Egypt is the Nile, and that's further to the west. All right, and the Euphrates, all right, is further to the east. But this is all that we got when we were in our land, so we never fully received the full inheritance that was promised to Abraham, and we're going to get that in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so just pulling up this map here, okay, it says the full promised land of Israel. So if you see down here in the left corner, all right, you got the Nile River, all right, which stretches down, okay, and then over here you got the Euphrates. We didn't get all of that, okay. You still had Esau that was down here. You had I believe it was Moab that was around this area, and Ammon, I forget specific. So on the nations, all right, you know, but they were on the east side of the river, all right, and you had that was further east from Manasseh's inheritance, all right, Manasseh and Gad's inheritance that were on this side, okay. But all of this is ours, man, okay. All of this is what we're going to receive in the kingdom of heaven, and this land is going to be glorious, all right, because this is the garden of Eden, all right. Eden is the earth, okay. Idon, going back to a pleasure, right, a paradise. That's what the earth is supposed to be, a paradise, all right. But the scripture said that what the Lord had a garden that was eastward in Eden, and this is that land, all right. So it's going to be back in that luscious, fertile estate again once we get put into that land. All right, let's go into this word, because once again they call this the Fertile Crescent. Now, even if you look here, it says Abraham traveled from Ur near the Persian Gulf, northwest up the Euphrates River along the Fertile Crescent to modern day Israel. Now, that word fertile in the Edmond Online, it says bearing or producing abundantly. All right, bearing or producing abundantly. Okay, and that's what's going to be happening, man. Any plants, all right, that you may send your servants out to plant, all right, it's going to yield forth great fruit, okay, which is going to go into what we're going to focus on is the land of milk and honey, all right. But before we go there, I'm going to grab this precept just on that point, because it said that what bearing or producing abundantly. Now, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 66 and verse I'm going to start at verse 10. It says, for thou, O Yahweh, hast proved us. Thou hast tried us as silver is tried. Thou broughtest us into the net, and thou laidest affliction upon our loins. Thou hast caused men to ride over our heads. We went through the fire and through the water. And this is pretty much our plight and this truth, okay? The hell that we go through and so on and so forth, but it's leading to something, right? It says, thou hast caused men to ride over our heads. We went through the fire and through the water, but thou broughtest us out into a wealthy place. All right, and this is what the Lord is going to do. See, after we get through the last few dregs of this hell that we're going to go through, okay, it says through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of the Most High. All right, the Lord is going to bring us into a wealthy place. All right, that word wealthy says saturation, right? Down here says abundant. All right, drink, abundant drink, abundance. Okay, so our land is going to be in full abundance. All right. And you got to think about it. See, once again, we're in this westernized society. So, you know, it might not, you know, if it doesn't rain for a particular time period, you might not even notice. Okay. Because you can go to the grocery store and grab food regardless. All right. Certain things are easily accessible. Okay. But everything around you, everything that you consume, it comes from the earth, some form or fashion, man. All right. Whether it's the metal, all right, that's used in particular things, everything comes from the earth. All right, even with Esau's technology and so on and so forth, he has to manipulate things that come from the earth. All right, as it is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, the king, let me hit that. And this is the importance of having a land that was being in a land that was fertile, man. All right, this is the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 9. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. Right, so the king himself is served by what? Okay, the things that come forth out of the earth. Esau himself, all right, he has to pull things from the earth to create whatever it is he wants to create, man. All right, so at the end of the day, he's at the will of the Heavenly Father, man. And that's why when, you know, the Lord would send a drought, man, it would be so devastating to our people, man. All right, because that would affect your crops. Not only your crops, that would affect the cattle, how much milk they could produce, and so on and so forth, man. All right. If the land wasn't fertile, or if it wasn't producing enough, and so on and so forth. All right, so when Jake was in particular doing different wickedness, and the Lord would send a drought or a famine for a time period, man, that would devastate the people, man, because they were dependent upon the Lord, all right, sending forth the rain, all right, allowing the crops to flourish, and so on and so forth, man. It had an effect on the whole community as a whole, everybody, man. All right, but going on, so we went into that. All right, so this is the land that we're going to receive. We went into that word fertile. All right, now let's go into this in the book of Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 5. It says, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, in the day when I chose Israel and lifted up mine hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up mine hand unto them, saying, I am Yahweh your power. And the day that I lifted up mine hand unto them to bring them forth of the land of Egypt into a land that I had espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. Right, so this land is the glory of all lands. This is the best land, all right, on the earth that's going to be given unto us, man. This is what was promised unto Abraham and his descendants, all right. And this is what we're going to receive, man. But the point being is that it said that is the glory of all the lands, right? Now, let me read this as well in the book of Exodus, chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. All right. So once again, just tying this into what the Lord had told Abraham. All right. That land of Canaan that he was traveling through, that he was going to grant it unto us. All right. And this is what the Lord was doing when he was beginning to fulfill that, for lack of a better way to say it. All right. When he was bringing down those Egyptians, sent forth Moses so that we can get delivered out of there and taken into a land of milk and honey, as we're reading here. All right, now, the key phrase there is a land of milk and honey. Now, where do you get your milk from? All right, you get your milk from the cattle, right? So when it says a land flowing with milk and honey, that's not talking about it's an actual mountain and milk is just flowing down the mountain, all right? Or there's a river of honey coming down it. No, all right, it's going into what? The fertility and the abundance of that land, all right, that we would inherit, okay? And especially in the kingdom of heaven. Now, I want to go into this article real quick just to touch up on a few points. All right, I had looked this up. It says key factors affecting milk production and quality. All right, it says a driving factor in the volatility of the dairy industry is that the quantity and quality of milk produced over time cannot be guaranteed. It depends too much on factors farmers can't control, though they do try. Right, so this is letting you know that this is in the hands of the Lord, all right? How much your cattle can produce, all right? If the land is fertile enough and so on and so forth, the Lord, he has to be the one to send forth the rain, all right? He has to nourish, all right, the field, okay? So that everything else can flourish as well. On top of that, man, all right? The quality of the clothing was dependent on what? The quality of the cotton, or the quality of the what's the word? The wool, right? Well, that wool came from what? A sheep, all right? But if the sheep doesn't have a good quality pasture, okay, or if it's malnourished, right, then that would affect the sheep and the quality of that clothing. Not only that, all right, if you're using it for food, okay, so everything is affected, all right, whether or not the Lord sends rain or if he flourishes that land. And when Jake was in wickedness, the Lord would send these famines, all right? He would affect Jake's substance because of these different, because of their wickedness, man. All right, and when we get into the kingdom of heaven, things are going to go back to agriculture type of deal, so to speak, okay? Where people are going to be back dependent in taking care of their cattle and so on and so forth, where it's going to be their substance again. All right, getting rid of this fake funny money fiat currency, man. This isn't even real riches, man. All right, when you read in the scriptures, it says Abraham, he was rich with what? As a matter of fact, let me grab that. All right. It's Genesis 13 and 2. It says, and Abram was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold. So this is all a part of the riches. All right. Having silver, gold, and what? Cattle. All right. And if you had cattle, you would need what? Servants to take care of those cattle, man. Take care of that cattle. As a matter of fact, it's another one that might be in this chapter. Let's see. Man, I forget how it's worded, but it's another one where it talks about that he had lots of servants as well. But I'm not gonna harp on that. As a matter of fact, let me just. All right, let's grab this in Genesis 24 and 35. All right, this is Genesis 24, and I'm gonna start at 34. It says, and he said, I am Abraham's servant, and the Lord hath blessed my master greatly, and he is become great. And he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and men servants and maid servants and camels and asses. Right. So Abraham was rich in all these things, man. All the cattle that he had, he needed servants to take care of those cattle, man. All right. But then he needed substance to be able to feed them and so on and so forth, man. All right. I was reading up they in a few different articles, and it even mentioned how a baby goat, all right, one baby goat would be able to sustain a household for their milk. All right, just one of those, man. Okay, could sustain a whole household with the milk, and then if they make milk, all right, they can make the butter. All right, they would use goats for leather. All right, for different bottles or what's the word that I'm looking for? Pretty much to carry liquid, water, and so on and so forth, man. So these different animals that were used, okay, they had many different uses, and it brought a lot of substance, all right, to a person's household, man. Okay, a lot of substance, man, a lot of money, so to speak, all right, was brought on through these different avenues, man. A sheep, you can continually, you would shear a sheep, you could shear once a year. One article that I read, it said that a sheep could make from 2 to 30 pounds, all right, of wool a year. Okay, so that's continual substance on a yearly basis, just based off of one aspect that you can use from a sheep, man. Not even counting the milk that they produce and so on and so forth, right? So just kind of going back into that mind frame of when we get into the kingdom and we're going to have these different servants over our cattle and so on and so forth, how much is it going to actually bring us, man? All right, but anyways, that was it on that. So let me go back to this article here. It says factors affecting milk production. The amount of milk a cow produces depends largely on the environment it's in. It's all about comfort, right? Now it mentions cows, but once again, cows aren't the only animals, all right, that produce milk. Okay, see, in westernized society, they harp on that. Here in the West, on cows producing milk, but really, goats are mainly used outside of the Americas. All right, they use sheep. That's where you get your feta cheese from. All right, you get that from sheep, man. Okay, ricotta cheese, that comes from sheep. Okay, but this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 27 and verse 26. The lambs are for thy clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. Right, so you would use lambs for clothing, plain and simple. All right, as well as other uses, like I mentioned, the milk, the butter, the cheese, the food. All right, this is used to make yogurt, ice cream. These are just various uses of one animal, man. Okay, but it says verse 27, and thou shalt have goats milk enough for thy food. Right, so you had goats that were making milk. Okay, it says for the food of thy household and for the maintenance of thy maidens. All right, and here's another one. This is the book of Deuteronomy 32 and verse 13. It says, he made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. He made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine, and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats, with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape. Okay, so when we got into that land, Jake was straight, man. All right, now of course you had some that were more well off than others. All right, but Jake was doing well. All right, as it is written in the next verse, verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. So Jake was comfortable, chilling. All right, and they began to forsake the Lord, man. Jake got too comfortable and forgot about the Heavenly Father, man, that did all those things for him. Thou art waxing fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. All right, meaning what? Abundance. Okay, a lot of substance. Then he forsook the Most High, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation, man. All right, so Jake was straight, man. All right, they was like, man, we don't need the Lord. Look at what all we got, man. Thought they was doing it on their own. All right, got all this bread coming in, okay, from your cattle and your fields, vineyards, and so on and so forth, man. They wasn't thinking about the Lord. All right, but that's it on that. All right, so let's go back to this. It says the amount of milk a cow produces depends largely on the environment it's in. So like I said, this is focusing on cows, but these different factors affect the rest of the cattle as well, man. All right, and they'll produce more when they're in the right conditions as well. See, in today's society, man, Esau go, man, terrify damn sheep. All right, damn near, all right, man, it's just inhumane. All right, the way that they slaughter animals and so on and so forth. There's a correct way to do those things, man. All right, they be under so much stress. All right, these animals aren't supposed to be under all that stress. All right, and they release certain chemicals. All right, when they're under that stress, which we in turn eat, which has an effect on our body, man. All right, so when the Lord, man, when Yahushua establishes his kingdom, everything and every aspect, all right, of a society is going to be in its proper order, man. All right, the way that you slaughter an animal is going to be according to wisdom of the Heavenly Father, man. All right, all these things are going to be established on the wisdom of the Heavenly Father. Okay, it says the more comfortable the cow, the more milk it will produce. The less comfortable the cow, the less productive it is. Environmental factors include weather, climate, and geography. All right, it says, and that's another thing, man. All right, man, the climate that's going to be in our land is going to be perfect. Okay, it's going to be perfect. All right. It says temperate climates with milder seasons put less stress on cows than climates with more extreme weather. Geography is closely tied to weather and climate. For example, cows in Wisconsin and Michigan tend to be more productive than cows in New Mexico due to heat in the latter region. Heat and humidity are the factors with the largest impact. If nighttime temperatures cool, cows get a chance for cover even in hot seasons. However, if they don't have a chance to cool down, they will eat less feed and produce less milk. Okay, so just going into different factors that affect the production of the milk. Let's keep reading. It says feed. Weather and climate can also affect the abundance and quality of feed, meaning what? The grass, the food that is eaten, which translates to quantity and quality of milk produced. Feed prices and availability can have a large impact on what farmers can use. All right, and I'm bringing up these points, okay, for a reason, man. All right, because this all ties into when the Lord said he would give us a land with milk and honey. That means that land was going to be completely, all right, it's going to be nourishing, man. It's going to be very fertile, all right, because for it to flow with milk and honey, well, that means that the cows, all right, and the different cattle, the sheep and so on and so forth, their conditions have to be perfect, all right, for them to continually produce. All right, that means that the land is good. That means that the weather is good. All right. It says Deuteronomy 11 and 13, and this shall come to pass if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to the Lord Yahweh your power, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. And I will send grass, that's the feed, in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Okay? So the Lord was like, I'm going to make sure that your cattle got what it need. All right? You know, that everything is taken care of, man. Even when we were traveling through the wilderness, man, hey, that the water, all right, that came from the rock, man, that was enough to not just feed the individuals, that was enough for all of our cattle. All right, to feed, man. All right, to drink from. Okay, so the Lord was taking care of even our substance, man. All right, when we were coming out of the wilderness. All right, but that's it on that. All right, so let's go back to this. It says, let me see. Accommodations: when cows have comfortable places to rest, space to graze, and farmers who work to keep everything clean, they're more productive. All right, so they need a lot of land, all right, that they can comfortably maneuver in, man, and we're gonna have that. All right, in the kingdom of heaven, we're gonna, man, it's gonna be glorious. All right, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 6. It says, therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For the Lord Yahweh thy power bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills. And we're going to get back into the importance of the water flowing through our land. All right, nourishing those plants and so on and so forth, man. All right, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. Right, so the land was going to fully nourish us, man. We weren't going to lack anything. All right, in the kingdom, we aren't going to lack anything, just based off of the land that we're going to be in alone, not even on top of everything that the heathens are going to be bringing unto us, man. All right, just our land alone is going to be enough to sustain But then the heathens are going to be bringing the best of the best of all that they have from their land, from their substance, from the things that they gather, man. It says, in land, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, and thou shalt not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord Yahweh thy power for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware that thou forget not the Lord Yahweh thy power, and not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up. And that's what we read about that happened, man. Jeshurun waxed fat and caked, all right, and forgot and lightly esteemed the rock of their salvation, man. But in the kingdom, it's not going to be so, all right. In the kingdom, man, hey, we're going to be giving all glory and praise to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai continually, man. Okay? We aren't going to forget our Lord. All right? It says, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. All right? So that's it on that. All right? Now I want to go into this real quick as well. All right? Now this is just from I was looking up different articles on the milk and honey commentaries and so on and so forth. I came across this from Jonathan CohenWeb.com. Let me just read this highlighted portion. It says, in nature, fertile land produces honey by itself and can be seen flowing quite literally with it. One clear implication of the presence of abundant wild honey is the existence of ample water and fertile soil that nectar producing flowers require, right? And that's why it said, we went into, we just read that precept, and what did it say? It said that, Salaki, let me go back to it. Yep, Deuteronomy 8 and 7. For the Lord Yahweh thy power bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills. That's right. All right. So there was water flowing through our land. Hey, even when you read in the book of Genesis, it talks about how the river watered the garden. All right. So that it gave the nourishment to the rest of the land. Okay, and it was split into the different heads, the four heads, roughly paraphrasing that in the book of Genesis. All right, so it's importance of having those brooks and those valleys of water, all right, going through our land to nourish it, man. You know, and once again, and I can't even imagine how beautiful this is going to be, all right. How beautiful it's going to be. And the scriptures talk about that, man. How the Lord is going to beautify the place of his feet. Lord's will, we'll grab that in a little bit, man. All right, but going back into this, it says, an abundance of this wild honey would generally imply other desirable conditions about a land and its climate that people dependent on the earth's fertility for their survival would value. And once again, these are things that aren't really valued in westernized society. All right. Because you go to the grocery store and you can easily get this and that and the third, all right? But when this earth is put in its proper order, these things are going to be back to the value that they're supposed to have, man. It says, surely the ancients observed that honey, like, the thought just crossed my mind. Here it is. Let's say that you want to buy something, or you trying to buy an iPhone, and you walk into the store with a baby goat, all right? They're like, nigga, what am I supposed to do with that? All right. Or a sheep. Like, nigga, what am I supposed to do with that? But in reality, that sheep, all right, if you know how to maintain it and take care of it, could bring you way more money, all right, than however much that damn iPhone would cost, man. Okay. It will bring you the money from the cotton. It will bring you the money from the milk and so on and so forth. And that will be residual. All right. Then it will bring forth more sheep. All right. If you get another sheep, they bear children, it will bring forth more sheep and so on and so forth. Just that one investment will give you way more money than whatever $300-$500, all right, that the iPhone costs. But we don't look at things that way because of this society and the use of this funny money, this fiat currency, man. All right. But when we get back into the kingdom, it's going to be going back into the proper system. All right. The economy is going to be put in this proper order, man. Okay. Going back to using gold and silver and the barter system of trading cattle, all right, goat's hair and so on and so forth, man, clothing and things of that nature, all right. goat skin for the leather bags and this and that and the third, or whatever the case it may be. All right. It says, surely the ancients observed that honey was most plentiful in the areas where their livestock produced the most milk. And these same pastures, rich in greens for grazing, would grow in abundance of flowers for bees. All right, so when we read about the land filled with milk and honey, it's because of how fertile that land was and how it was going to produce a lot of substance that you'll be able to take care of your household with, man. Then you got your children. All right, see, children, they weren't just there to just make you smile, all right, to crack a joke and make you laugh. No, your children will be servants in your household. All right. When you read about when families had sheep, okay, usually it would be the youngest of the children, all right, that would take care of the sheep. Okay, that's why David, he was taking care of the sheep, all right, and he was the youngest, man. So they would have different responsibilities within the household, man. Niggas wasn't just up playing 2K on their phone, all right, or 2K on the Xbox all day. No, you had to, if you were in a household, there were duties that you had to do that was going to help produce, all right, for the family. Okay, you was in the field, all right, whether you was harvesting and planting for the crops, all right. Maybe you got vineyards. If you didn't have a vineyard, maybe you had somebody that was working on the cattle. Okay. You had your daughters, they were working on this, working on the milking of the sheep and so on and so forth, right? So having an abundance of children, it would help forward your enterprise, man, to where you would have enough to where they got of age, okay? You will be able to send your son off with a certain amount of substance, and then he can start his family, man, all right? Things are going to go back to this order once again, all right? So that's it on that, man. We're just going to end it off with a couple of precepts, man. This is the book of Ezekiel 36:8. It says, but ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel. That's right. So the earth, all right, in our land specifically, but the earth as a whole is going to yield forth its fruit once again, man. Okay? Back in the ancient world, it took 2 or 3 strong men to carry just a cluster of grapes. Now a baby can toss them around across the room like nothing, man, because the earth is not yielding forth its fruit the way that it should be in its power, man. All right. It says, for they are at hand to come. It says, for behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown. Speaking about our land, and I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the cities shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be builded, and I will multiply upon you man and beast. Right. So a lot of cattle, all right, a lot of children, a lot of servants, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. Right. So the Lord is going to do way greater than us than what he did when we came into the land of milk and honey, man. All right. Being the land of Israel. Okay. It's going to be way better for us in this kingdom to come. All right. Yea. It says, yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel, and they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance, and thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men. All right, this is the book of Joel, chapter 2, and verse 23. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice. It says, it says, Salaki, I'm going to start up. Joel 2 and 21, fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. All right, and this is what we're expecting. Okay, the Lord is going to do great things for us, man, beyond our imagination. Eyes have not seen, nor ears have heard what the Lord has prepared for them that wait for him and that love him, man. Be not afraid, ye beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. That's right. All the animals, they're going to be eating good. Okay. All right. They're going to be comfortable. Right. It says, be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord Yahweh your power, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. All right. And you go into that when it says in the first month, it actually says as before. Okay. When you look it up, that word month was added in there. All right. So the Lord is going to, man, he's going to restore us. All right. To a status and a level, man, that we haven't even had before. Okay. Even beyond that. It says, and the floor shall be full of wheat, and the fat shall overflow with wine and oil. All right. So everything is going to be producing greatly, man. And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, and the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. And those are allegories for these heathens, man. All right. So all that's been taken away from us, all that's been done to us, man. And the Lord is going to restore us back to a greater estate, man. Everything that's been taken from us, man, we're going to get it back and more. All right. And ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahweh your power, that hath dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your power and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. All right. So there it goes right there, man. Okay, this is what we have coming unto us, man. All right, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 60. Let me see. As a matter of fact, I meant to grab this in the book of Isaiah earlier. This is Isaiah, just bear with me. Let's see, it's 11. All right, because this is going back into that article, how it talks about how, you know, those different cattle, they'll produce a lot of milk when they're in comfortable environments, right? And when in our land, man, it's going to be a whole nother vibration, man. And this is going to show that. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 6. It says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them, right? So these animals, they are going to be killing one another, okay? Not in our land, all right? The cow ain't gonna be worried about if a predator is coming and everything like that. They're gonna be completely comfortable. Okay? No worries. Alright? Even to the animals, they're gonna have peace. Verse 7, and the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. All right. So this is just showing you the vibration that's going to be in our land, a complete peace. All right. Complete peace, man. And that's going to affect how much that these various animals produce. All right. In abundance, man. Of the milk, of the quality of the cotton and the wool and the this and the that and the so on and so forth, man. All right. Now this is back in Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 13. I'm gonna get straight to the point. It says, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Right. So the Lord is gonna beautify the earth. Okay. And it's going to be a special beauty, all right, in the Garden of Eden, all right, which is going to be the land of Israel once we're in there, man. All right, and it's been beautified. Okay, now this is the book of, that's actually it, you know, through the Spirit. Yeah, that's all I had through the Spirit, man. So, you know, Lord's what I was edifying, you know, a few things to consider and think about, especially thinking about the kingdom of heaven. You know, it's going to be on a whole nother level, man, and we're going to be well nourished and taken care of, man, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So having that being said, Lord's what I was edifying, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, the honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who will well, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. With that, I'm going to say shalom.